In the beginning, there was Kraftwerk. Kraftwerk are one of the most influential bands ever. It's impossible to find a music hack that doesn't love this band. Their obsession is fueled by the enigma of Kraftwerk. No other band shuns publicity with such dedication. The last time they did a photo shoot as humans was in 1978. Is Kraftwerk specifically a German band or a band without nationality?
Kraftwerk is a European band with German passports, and we are touring the world.
Obviously, they influenced 80s electropop. Listen to Depeche Mode and Gary Newman, but you can also hear them in house, indie, folk, and they helped to invent hip-hop. Trans-Europe Express is sampled on Africa Bambaata's Planet Rock, the first ever hip-hop record. What's the last piece of music that really inspired you?
I'm always inspired by total silence and noise. And then I compose music.
Kraftwerk's noise is inspired by modern life, particularly travel. Inspired by the monotony of travel or its surprises?
Travel and monotony are a great inspiration for music, like Autobahn, Trans-Europe Express.
I think the melody in general is the strongest part of music. Rhythm is a very basic part in the production of music, and it's not timeless. It has very much to do with the period on which the music is written. If you listen to the 19th century, it's all 3 quarters, it's all waltz. Because the waltz rhythm was the rhythm of that century, and now we have 4 to the bar. The production and the rhythm and the themes, of course, of the lyrics, they are always very much part of the century and the time you are living in, whereas the melody is able to go through the generations. Another thing which makes Kraftwerk really successful is the strong melody. Kraftwerk never did any connections with anybody else. They were just on their own. Made possible this unique and strong output, I guess. And these strong statements, there was nothing interfering with this solitary mind. And we were sitting on the table, this Trans-Europe Express table, and they're putting the Nürnberg Reichsparteitag with the swastika. And this was really mean and awful. We didn't know anything to do with it. I mean, we certainly had no final solution for the musical problems, and so it was just the opposite. We felt like we were touching new ground, and we were quite happy with this tiny little inventions of little pop music stuff. It had a little bit to do with the success, and it was a drawback of independence. Completely independence, no deadline, and totally artistic freedom. Creativity sometimes starts with the deadline, and with a lack of money, and with only a few possibilities, with not too many options. Too many options in the computers. There's too many options. And with the early Kraftwerk productions, there were not so many options, and that made creativity floating, much more easy. And I think that was a time when confusion really started. The next record should have been called Technopop, which was, I remember, spending years on the production of Technopop between 81 and 84, and made a completely mix of the record. So a completely finished production. And somehow in his mind, and probably in Florian's mind, they got confused with the result. It sounded great, of course, but they didn't like it somehow. And then they decided to skip it and to start all over again. And from that point on, things got very hard and not easy like on the productions. So we ended up, after several tries, to change the compositions, which at that time was a rather hard process because they were all recorded on tape, on multitrack. Didn't erase tape that easy at that time. So instead of starting from scratch again or wiping out completely a whole tape, we tried to make it better and better by adding stuff and erasing maybe one track. We tried to learn, from my point of view now, to improve it. Recorded and remixed and re-remixed and re-remixed the record there. And Florian went home after 1 month, I went home after 2 months, and Ralph went home after 3 months with the finished record. And that record was then called Electric Cafe. So that was this is a story actually about the first part of the 80s, which we missed really. I guess Kraftwerk missed the 80s completely. And somehow we spent our time in the ivory tower of Klingklang Studio. Flop of Electric Cafe. It was completely a flop at that time. Again, I forgot the details. You can blame me for that, but it got lost in the dust of the Museum of Music.
Kraftwerk had one approach. What was the approach?
The approach?
Yeah.
It's very hard to say in one word, but the approach of a concept in art is tell the world your view of the world. And this in a way which gets recognized. And in order of that, it has to be distinctive from the rest. And we try to come up with our view of the world. Working with machines it's a very nurturing process because they are sick all the time and you have to take care of them. And also machines are far from being perfect and they keep on breaking. So everybody speaks about the perfection of machines, but the truth is that they never work. And you have to be very careful to make it work. And if they work, they come up with strange figures and with strange music, and you have to capture the moment. I'm talking about analog machines and not computers. The story with computers is different.
Now you're working as Could you give us an insight in the way Kraftwerk used humor in the way of finding inspiration?
We just were funny people. And one secret of humor is you don't have respect so much for anything. And you kill your heroes and you make fun about your teachers. And it's the same in school. And you have to learn something. Without learning, no future, and so on.
Kraftwerk.
Wir haben unser ganzes Instrumentarium, was wir teilweise selbst erfunden haben und unsere Musikmaschinen gebaut haben. Und man kann ja nicht in den Laden gehen und diese Sachen einfach sagen. Und unsere Generation, wir mussten halt wieder von vorne starten und da wir irgendwie statt von ländlichen Sachen mehr von Stadt und Maschinen beeinflusst und spiegelt diese Sachen wieder und das ist vielleicht in der Zeit passiert, gerade wo die sogenannte Popmusik gerade so mit mehr Freizeitsachen sich beschäftigt hat und wir haben mehr von Arbeitsprozessen und von wirklichen Situationen, Großstadtsituationen, Schaufensterpuppen, Robotern. Das ist Teil unserer Existenz. Wir stehen da rum und stellen uns aus. Wir sind Schaufensterpuppen, also das ist Teil unserer Wirklichkeit.
Wir stehen hier rum und stellen uns aus. Wir sind Schaufensterpuppen. Seht ihr in der Technik keine Gefahr für die Menschen?
Schon, aber ich glaube, das ist mehr, also wie zum Beispiel ein Computer als Spiegel von Gedanken und von demjenigen, der das programmiert. Wenn in dessen Kopf nur paranoide Wahnvorstellungen und so Verfolgungssachen stattfinden, dann wird das Einzige sein, was er programmieren kann, diese Verfolgungssachen. Eben Natur und Technik, das fällt für uns irgendwie zusammen. Wir sehen das irgendwie mehr als Einheit. Oder?
Wie seht ihr euch selbst bei der Arbeit? Eher als Musiker oder als Techniker?
Wir sind Musikarbeiter. Wir nennen uns selbst Musikarbeiter.
Thing is, you desire something, and then you copy it, and then you mix it up with your own philosophy, with your own personality. But you have to, get it done.
Kraftwerk, project 1.
Bronvermelding tot zover.
Houd de analyse en interpretatie gescheiden. Data genereren, structureren, destilleren. Saturatie, frustratie, incubatie leiden tot interpretatie. Uit het fasemodel wordt globaal gesorteerd. Uit het ingrediëntenmodel wordt specifiek gesorteerd.
De persoonlijke norm uit de taakomgeving nam als fundament de meeste tijd in beslag. De opvattingen uit het lange termijn geheugen waren prioriteit. Al dus was de opdracht de kern en functioneerde het componeren als intermediair tussen de opdracht en de ervaring. Persoonlijke norm is het dominante ingrediënt uit opdracht.
Materiaal genereren, monteren en structureren zijn de dominante ingrediënten uit het componeerproces.
Gevoelsopvattingen en kennisstand zijn de dominante ingrediënten uit het lange termijn geheugen.
Het proces verloopt niet lineair. Kraftwerk ziet dominanten uit het fasemodel. Eliminatie, evaluatie, verificatie.
Kraftwerk's dominante modus operandi trekt tot zover in de frustratiefase.
So far, not enough data has been analyzed to forge a solid interpretation. What can be said is this. Working with these models has revealed somewhat of a hiatus. The causal relationship between a creative process and an artistic outcome is dubious, to say the least. One can repeat a creative process. One cannot repeat an artistic outcome. Und an dieser Stelle möchte ich gern sagen, ja, das ist ganz subjektiv. Technopop war die bessere Name.
We experience a wonder through, nobody knows how it comes, but physical frequencies turn into feeling. And this is a secret, no one knows how it happens.